Folks, we're getting so many people who we're having free consultations with either tell us they've already paid a bankruptcy attorney, or they say they're seriously considering filing bankruptcy and they've already talked to a few bankruptcy attorneys. They want to talk to us too. We're seeing a lot of bankruptcy activity right now, folks. And I think that it's inevitable, right? You look at the prices of food at the grocery stores. You look at the credit card debt that has just skyrocketed. You look at auto loan defaults. I think that bankruptcy attorneys are going to be doing very well for themselves here in the next few years, or at least the near future. And we're already seeing that in the discussions that we're having with folks who come to us at Choice Tax Relief for a free consultation. But if you have tax debt, you need to make sure you understand the rules, because on more than one occasion, I have seen bankruptcy attorneys screw up the analysis when it comes to tax debt. Now, many do not. Here in the Los Angeles area, I have a great bankruptcy attorney that we refer business to and fro. Okay, but other bankruptcy attorneys, unfortunately, do not always understand all the rules of when tax debt is dischargeable in a bankruptcy, a Chapter 7, for example, or when it will be when it can be paid off with the debtor's disposable income, right, in a Chapter 13, typically for pennies on the dollar, right? And the reason I want to create this video is because I had a kind of a heated discussion with a bankruptcy attorney in the past week regarding a client. This client, we had done an analysis for them, and we believed that we could enter them into a very advantageous partial payment installment agreement for their tax debt. And most of their tax debt was for tax year 2019. They owed about actually, I'll pull up the transcript here. They owed about $150,000 for 2019. Right. So I redacted the sensitive information. Right. They owe about $160,000 or $158,464 for tax year 2019. Okay. And as you can see at the bottom of this transcript, well, first of all, let me say this, right? They already signed up with us for a PPIA. They made their first monthly payment to us. And then we kind of didn't hear about it. We needed some more information from them to move forward on their case with the IRS, but then we didn't hear from them for a little while in the summer. And come to find out, it's because they went to a bankruptcy attorney and paid a bankruptcy attorney a few $1,000 to file bankruptcy. And you can see that right down here at the bottom of the transcript, Code 520, bankruptcy or other legal action filed on July 17th, 2023. So I called him up. I said, client, why? I see you filed bankruptcy. Why didn't you tell us about this? We've been trying to work your case, get you into that PPIA. And what they said to me was they had hired a bankruptcy attorney who told them that, oh yeah, as long as we file your bankruptcy petition after July 15th, 2023, we can get all of your 2019 tax debt discharged in your Chapter 7. I told the client that is completely false, because there are 3 requirements for a debt to be discharged, for a tax debt to be discharged in a Chapter 7. You ready for them? Take notes. Okay. The tax return itself has to have been filed at least 2 years prior to the bankruptcy petition being filed. Okay. No problems there. The tax must have been assessed at least 240 days prior to the filing of the bankruptcy petition. No problems there. Third requirement. The tax return must have been due, including extensions, at least 3 years before the filing of the bankruptcy petition. And I had a discussion with the bankruptcy attorney. And he said, well, Logan, yeah, we waited until July 17th to file Because if you'll remember Logan, he was very kind of snooty about this. If you'll remember Logan, the deadline for 2019 tax returns was July 15th, 2020. 3 years after July 15th is 2020 is July 15th, 2023. That's why we waited till July 17th, 2023. All this tax is going to be discharged in bankruptcy. That's when I kindly directed him to the bankruptcy code, which he is supposedly an expert in, and I'm going to pull it up for you here. All right, so this is the part of the bankruptcy code that lists out the priority claims in Chapter 7. And it's saying that, in general, these kinds of debts will not be dischargeable in Chapter 7. Okay, and this is saying that a tax, right, on income and income tax, okay, for a taxable year ending on or before the date of the filing of the petition, for which a return, if required, is last due, including extensions, after 3 years before the date of the filing of the petition, right? So this is saying you can't discharge an income tax, okay, for a year if the tax return was due after 3 years before the date of the filing of the petition. So the day of the filing of the petition in our client's case was July 17th, right? So if we go back to the statute here, right, a tax debt will not be discharged in Chapter 7 if the return to which it corresponds is last due, including extensions, after 3 years before the day of the filing of the petition, right? So the question is, was the due date of the return after 3 years before 3 years before July 17, 2023? Okay, so basically, was the tax return due after July 17, 2023? And you might say, Logan, well, the bankruptcy attorney was right. The tax return was due July 15th, 2020. So that's outside the 3-year window. And I would say, look what it says right here. Including extensions. You look at our client's lovely transcript here. What do you see? Code 460, extension of time to file tax return, extended due date, October 15th, 2020. They timely filed that extension on June 30th, 2020. So their extended due date was not July 15th, 2020. It was October 15th, 2020. Meaning that the due date of the return, including extensions, was within the 3-year period before the filing of the bankruptcy petition. And therefore, this tax debt is not dischargeable in a Chapter 7. Bankruptcy attorney went back and I went back and forth a few times. He kind of huffed and puffed, but eventually he admitted that I was correct. I have not heard from either him or my client. So I do not know what's going on there. Moral of the story, folks, you got to understand the rules. Like, there are many nuances to the bankruptcy code that I do not understand, okay, because I'm not a bankruptcy attorney. But I do know the basic rules about tax debt and bankruptcy. And if you have significant tax debt and you're considering bankruptcy, you'd better understand those rules, okay? There's the 3-year rule we just went over. The tax returns must have been due, including extensions, at least 3 years prior to the filing of the bankruptcy petition. Okay? The tax returns must have been filed at least 2 years prior to the bankruptcy petition. And the tax must have been assessed at least 240 days before the filing of the bankruptcy petition. Okay? If the taxes, and only income taxes, right? So, we talk about other things. We talk about, maybe on the trust fund recovery penalty, that's not dischargeable in bankruptcy. Okay, we're talking about income taxes here. They meet those requirements. Of course, talk to a bankruptcy attorney, but they'll be generally dischargeable in a Chapter 7, and we'll have a much more favorable repayment amount in a Chapter 13. We'll generally not have to be paid back in full over the 3 to 5 payment plan, 3 to 5 year payment plan in a Chapter 13. Okay, you could probably pay it pennies on the dollar, so to speak. I think bankruptcy attorneys can still use that phrase, right? Tax relief companies can't. FTC says you can't use pennies on the dollar anymore. But I think bankruptcy attorneys can still use that phrase, and it is true. In a Chapter 13 where they're paying, pennies on the dollar out of their disposable income to certain creditors over the length of the plan. All right, folks. So that's what I wanted to say. Beware skeevy bankruptcy attorneys. If you're considering bankruptcy for your tax debt, please talk to us first. You can book a free consultation, 866-8000-TAX. That's 866-8000-829. Or you could visit us at choicetaxrelief.com. There's a little thing on the menu at the top that says free consultation. You can click that, book a time on our calendar, or just fill out the form on the website and we'll reach out to you. But all right, folks, thank you so much for tuning in. I have some other tax relief videos here on the left-hand side of the screen, and I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.